This grand memorial is to a humble girl whose act of extreme bravery made her the nautical heroine of the Victorian era. Find out who she is and where she hails from in just a moment. Today we're meeting a couple seeking a home in an historic English county for some rural respite in their retirement.
Fantastic. I really, really like it.
But one bedroom makes them come over a little French.
One of Mary's favourite words is bijou.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bijou.
It's a little trop bijou.
Today we're in Northumberland and this is Bamborough Churchyard, the final resting place of Grace Darling, the young daughter of a local lighthouse keeper who, on a stormy night in 1838, saw that a ship was running aground and with her father rowed out and rescued 5 survivors, brought them back to the safety of the lighthouse and then rowed out again to rescue another 4. She became an instant celebrity and was inundated with offers of marriage. But she chose, however, not to leave her home county. And when you look around Northumberland, you'll understand why. It's good news on the property price front here in Northumberland because the average price of a detached house here is £219,000, which is £32,000 less than the national figure. That said, as always, there's shading in the price map. So if you come to lovely coastal towns like this one, Bamborough or Alnmouth, then you're going to be paying about 25% above that county figure. That said, if you go to the north to Berwick-upon-Tweed, which is also a lovely town, or west over to the Cumbrian border, then you get a lot more for your money. So which of this cornucopia of options is going to tickle the fancy of our buyers today? Let's find out. And our home-buying hopefuls are retired civil servants Chris and his wife Mary, who met one another 5 years ago after a chance meeting in cyberspace.
Well, we met on the internet.
We met up at a local pub.
Yes.
And we got on really well.
It went from there.
It went from there.
They both live in Chris's customised bungalow in Bingley, West Yorkshire, but feel cramped in the house and hemmed in by their urban surroundings.
The area's quite built up and the population is pretty much a commuter population working either in Bradford or Leeds.
I mean, I think we've both lived in the countryside in smaller villages, and I think we feel that we like that open space, we like nature, and I think we do just enjoy becoming involved in a small community.
Since retirement, the plan is to create a new life together where they can enjoy the very best of the Northumberland coast and countryside.
It's wild, it's rugged, it's got all of the things which I think we really enjoy. It's also really special for me because it's where a lot of my ancestors come from.
The northeast as well was famous for its quilt making, and I just want to be able to bring that tradition and use that tradition in the home where I'm going to live.
Mary is a creative at heart and is in desperate need of a room for her favourite pastime.
I have quilting as a hobby, which I really enjoy, and I've been doing it now for about 8 years, I suppose. So I would like to be able to have somewhere that allows me to be able to keep all of my work out all of the time, and where I haven't got to constantly pack it up and put it away when we have visitors.
Chris's passion for buying and selling antiques gets him out and about, scouring shops and markets for valuable gems. But back at home, room to manoeuvre is the key element to this house move.
For obvious reasons, stairs aren't particularly good for me, and therefore what we really need is to find something with a good amount of ground floor space, but hopefully a building which has either been converted from an old barn or farm buildings, or a bungalow of at least some form of character.
Mary and Chris are longing to make their first and last house purchase together, so all that's left is to find out how much money they've earmarked for their future forever home.
The maximum budget for our move would be £320,000.
For the finest country and seaside scenery, we'll be concentrating our property hunt in the beautiful coastal villages surrounding the market town of Alnwick. Time for us all to meet up in Northumberland to learn more about Chris and Mary's prospective move. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, welcome to Northumberland. It's very nice to be here. We don't come here very often, so which of you has the link here?
I know Northumberland, and I've sort of brought Mary up quite a few times in the last few years.
And I've been here on holiday before and just loved it. I think there's a real magic about the county.
It is a magical place, isn't it? It really has a special feel to it. Obviously, we need to think about specifications for you and your chair. What are the main things that we need to look out for?
It's normally the size of the doorways, the turning into a particular room. Clearly steps aren't the most convenient of features.
Now, your budget is £320, but does that include any money that you need to spend to make modifications?
We've got other money set aside to cover the adaptations.
Good.
Okay. That's the base cost.
You did mention that you didn't necessarily want a bungalow. But would that be ideal?
I think we actually like properties with some character.
Yes.
And most bungalows tend to be more recently built with, maybe lacking as much character.
And in terms of the very basic spec, what are you looking for in terms of bedrooms and reception rooms?
Well, we'd like to have 3 bedrooms, wouldn't we, Chris?
Yes.
We're quite happy for the rest to be relatively open plan, flexible.
What about the coast? Are you keen on being near the sea?
Going down to the sea is always been the thing which uplifts me more than anything else. I think the coast changes every day you see it, depending on the light and the time of year. And, it's the moods and the sounds which really interest me, I think, of the coast.
Well, we've got 3 lovely properties lined up, but let's finish our tea and then we can ship on out.
OK.
OK, thank you.
For a budget of £320,000, Chris and Mary are after a spacious character property, be that a house or a bungalow. They need 3 bedrooms to cater for hobbies, as well as visiting family, and that must include a ground floor master bedroom with a large bathroom. Ideally, they'd like an open-plan kitchen and living area, but are willing to reconfigure the property to best suit their specific needs. And we've got a wonderful mix of homes to show our buyers, but of course, I won't be revealing the price until they've had a guess first. Then, last on the property agenda is the mystery house, where we'll see if they really do like to be beside the seaside. Without further ado, we're heading straight for our first property, and Chris has kindly offered to take the wheel. So are you both still working, or are you taking early retirement? How does it?
Chris took early retirement, and I then just left work so that we could spend more time together and actually enjoy the time that we have.
So not only are you moving into a new house, it's a sort of new phase of your life.
Very much so, yes.
Our first destination is about 9 miles north of Alnwick in the village of Criston Bank, and just 2 miles from the beaches at Embleton, which should be comforting to Chris. But Criston Bank itself has a local shop as well as a pub, and the first property is situated in a quiet private road within striking distance of fields and open countryside. So this is house number 1.
I think it looks very nice.
I think the little garden,
it's lovely.
It's a nice little area just outside, isn't it? The stone effect's very pleasant.
Yeah.
It looks quite modern. Ideally, we would like something maybe which is a bit older, but I think actually the internal accommodation, which I'm going to be more concerned about.
Right, in which case we should get in. Now, you'll see there's a big step at the front door here, but there is a ramp at the back. Chris's suspicions are correct, as this is indeed a modern property with an attached single garage. It was built in 2006 using natural stone, which gives this newish home some warmth and character. So in you come, straight into the kitchen.
It's very nice. It's good size.
Yes, it's a lovely size. It's really beautiful.
We probably would have to move the island, or maybe even put it on some form of casters so you could actually move it around.
As you will have noticed, there are rooms upstairs, but there is a master bedroom on the ground floor, so we're going to have a look at that first.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, this is the room they've got set up as the bedroom.
Right.
So, our question was whether this is going to be sufficient for you, because they've got an ensuite here with a shower, but it's quite snug.
I think that is going to be a bit too small for us, isn't it?
It's on the small side.
On the other side, you've got a downstairs loo and the utility room.
Right.
So there's perhaps potential there
Opportunity to knock through and make into one large bath. Yes.
It's certainly a very pleasant view. The current owners have got a very nice...
Yes, it's beautiful.
The final room down on the ground floor is the main reception, which again is a tastefully decorated and light space, which benefits from triple aspect windows.
It's a very pleasant room.
It is.
Do you do lots of entertaining? Would it be a sort of...
We do a fair amount of entertaining. I think moving here, we would end up having people coming to stay more rather than just coming for an evening or so.
Right. And this property has some ideal guest accommodation, but it's all upstairs. So while Chris has a think about the potential on the ground floor, Mary and I are heading up to the first floor, where a spacious hallway leads to a large four-piece family bathroom and 2 double bedrooms, one of which could make a good craft room.
It would give me lots of space so I could actually set out the quilting table and the sewing machine. That would be nice.
How much space are you actually looking for?
Well, I'd like to be able to do something called long arm quilting, which would need significantly more space than this. The ordinary domestic quilting would work in here very nicely indeed.
I feel a bit odd leaving Chris downstairs.
Yes, I feel a bit uncomfortable about doing that as well. But I think we've both spoken about it, and if I'm using this as my area for almost business area, if you like, it's no different from me being at work.
Well, let's go and collect Chris and go out into the garden and see what the price of the property is.
OK.
The gardens outside are compact, but they've been well thought out and landscaped to provide a paved patio area, a veggie plot and even room for chickens. However, the present gravel pathway isn't wheelchair friendly, so we're going back into the front garden to guess the price. So what are you looking for in your outside space?
We'd like somewhere where we can sit out and have some friends round for a barbecue if the weather's nice.
Yes, I think we both enjoy a bit of gardening, like to see a bit of colour.
So how much do you think this property is on the market for?
I'd say it was on for around 310,000.
Chris?
I think something similar. I would probably say 305.
Well, it's actually on for £295,000.
OK.
So maybe you'd like to go back in and discuss if it's going to work with having an upstairs, and when you're done, I'll come find you.
OK.
Under budget, on the market for £295,000, property number 1 is a modern but characterful stone-built detached house. It has flexible accommodation over 2 floors that currently lends itself to a roomy kitchen diner, separate living room, a ground floor master ensuite, and 2 first-floor double rooms, offering scope for Mary's creative aspirations.
I do quite a bit of a cooking, so actually having a kitchen which I could use is important, and yes, I think I would be able to use it. I think the biggest problem is the downstairs bedroom and the ensuite are both a little bit too small. It's a shame because it's certainly a very pleasant property, and it seems to be a nice, quiet, little road which it's on.
My initial reaction when I saw the property was it was very pretty. I really like the dressed stone outside, and very much in keeping with the surrounding countryside. The living room, especially with the wood floor and the log burner, was a real surprise and was lovely. There's possibly too much on the first floor and not enough on the ground floor. Personally, I don't think it would work for us.
So that's house number 1 under our belts. Let's head off to see house number 2.
Okay.
Over the centuries, the drama of the Northumbrian landscape has also been played out in its historic towns, and nowhere more so than Berwick-upon-Tweed, the most northerly town in England. Berwick's prime location, just 2.5 miles from the Scottish border, has seen it change hands between England and Scotland at least 13 times. During the Middle Ages, as a Scottish town at the mouth of the River Tweed, it became one of the wealthiest ports in the country. But it was captured by the English throne in 1296, prompting a fierce tug-of-war between the two nations that lasted some 200 years. Fortunately, conflict has now given way to creativity. Today, many residents are involved in the town's long-established cultural arts scene, and it's this mix of art and history that we thought would appeal to Mary and Chris.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Peter. Welcome to Tower House Pottery.
Peter Thomas has been a ceramicist in the town for nearly 40 years, and by chance his studio is on the same site as a 600-year-old potter's kiln. He uses traditional methods to create his ceramics, but the decoration is in a very modern style, inspired by the local Northumberland landscape.
Can you tell me, is there any particular pottery heritage in the town?
Yes, every community had a pottery, and there was a pottery in Berwick, producing pots for the local community, for farmers and for the kitchens. That died out when the Industrial Revolution happened and mass-produced pots were produced.
Okay.
And I, like many other potters, have started making handmade pots as a revival. And many of our pots reflect the tradition of pots that were produced in the past, and we now decorate them reflecting our local environment.
Chris and Mary have never tried pottery before, and they're going to attempt to make a milk jug using red clay from Stoke-on-Trent. And to start off, the clay is kneaded in a spiral motion to remove the air and create an even consistency. Then Peter demonstrates how to manage the wheel and at the same time mould the jug's shape.
Now up it comes.
A tool called the rib is used to refine the shape. And now they've seen exactly how it's done by the expert. It's Mary's go to unleash her creativity. After getting a feel for the material, the really challenging bit is pulling out the clay before gently raising up the sides.
It's more like jelly than clay.
Yes. That's quite a charming shape.
Let's see if Chris can do better when he gets hands-on.
You should be really
Excellent.
proud
Yeah.
of that.
Well done.
Brilliant.
And now we've fired up Mary and Chris's imagination. Let's hope the creative vision continues as we get back to the property hunt. For our second property, we're travelling down south of Alnwick to the small village of Choppington, just a short drive from the coast and within easy reach of Morpeth, which stands on the River Wansbeck and is actually the county town of Northumberland. As such, Morpeth has a great range of businesses, shops and restaurants, all housed in its historic architecture. And about 3 miles east of the town, our second property is another vintage building that started life as a humble cowshed.
So come in. Here's the front garden of this property. As you requested, this is a barn conversion.
Lovely.
So it dates probably back to 1870.
All right.
It was the dairies to the farmhouse here on the left.
I think it looks very, very attractive.
Stonework again, it's very nice. For gardens, very attractive.
Shall we have a look inside?
That would be lovely.
Follow me.
Chris and Mary are looking for a property with character, and so far this attractive honey-coloured stone conversion doesn't fall short. What's more, all the living and sleeping space inside is at ground floor level.
Thank you.
So, straight into the kitchen. What do you think?
It's fantastic. I really, really like it.
Very nice country kitchen, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of space around the island for you to be able to move round when you're cooking.
It's a bit like a roundabout.
Indeed, yeah. But it flows through straight into the sitting room. Have a look here. So have a look at this room here. You can see the history of the building a little more with the
With the A.
the truss.
It's very nice.
I like the old style radiators. Very nice.
It's a lovely
little
touch, isn't
aren't
it? And I really like the way it goes up into the ceiling
they?
nowadays.
Yeah, it would be nice.
So far they're in harmony about the style of this barn, but the proportions here are on a smaller scale than our first property. And when it comes to the sleeping quarters, they may have to rethink the current arrangement. How are we doing for the turning into this room?
It's the doorways off the corridor, which are a bit more difficult.
Yes,
the corridor width itself is all right.
But then turning into the doorways, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, this is an altogether smaller property. This is the one bedroom, and there's another one on the other side. There's a small study at the front of the house. You've got an ensuite here, a little shower and toilet, and on the other side a family bathroom. You will probably want to knock down all the walls and reconfigure it, because I imagine this is not going to be big enough for you as it is.
No, as you said, there are many options you can do. And sit down with a piece of paper and you measure out the total space and then try and cut it up in different ways.
Yeah.
One of Mary's favourite words is bijou.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit bijou.
It's a little trop bijou. Fortunately, the plot does open up outside and should also provide our buyers with the ready-made community they're hoping to find when they move, as this attached barn makes up part of a small exclusive development of 5 individual properties. It comes with a single garage, and to the front is the private level-lawned garden we saw earlier, completed by a sunny patio. Then, out the back, there's a low-maintenance courtyard with raised beds and potted plants. How do you feel about this sort of outside space?
I mean, I think we'd have to do quite a lot to make it usable for us, because the gravel really doesn't work for Chris in the wheelchair.
No. And you are being overlooked both by the houses facing us, and it doesn't feel very private, does it?
No. It doesn't feel private at all, no.
You'd have to get on with your neighbours.
You would.
Are you good at neighbours?
We try to be.
I think we seem to be where we are at the moment.
So how much do you think this property is on the market for?
I would say around about 280,000.
And Chris?
I would say about 265.
OK, interesting. This is actually a bit over what you said. It's actually on the market for 289,950. I mean, if you'd like to go back in and have a peek in the bits that we haven't viewed, and I'll see you at the front.
OK. Thank you.
Again, under budget, with a guide price of £289,950, house number 2 is a converted barn with a history that spans some 140 years. A single-storey property, the accommodation includes an open-plan kitchen diner, a living room with a vaulted ceiling, a master with an ensuite, 2 further bedrooms and low-maintenance level gardens.
It's a modern conversion of an old building, and it's been converted to a good standard, very, very nice standard, especially in the kitchen, where I think we've really made a big effort.
The style of the building really does suit me and ticks a lot of boxes for me. I'd just like to have more space.
So, guys, that's all the houses for the day. So, time for rest and relaxation, and James, you can drive me home.
Thank you.
It's nice to be driven by my own chauffeur. The second day of our house quest is underway, and on a budget of £320,000, retired civil servants Chris and Mary want to leave suburban West Yorkshire and head to the coastal wilds of Northumberland. And still to come, the mystery house is a feast for the senses.
I can smell the sea air. I'm feeling quite refreshed already.
But I fear it's an attack on the senses as I attempt a centuries-old Northumbrian tradition. It was always going to be a difficult brief finding this property for Chris and Mary here in Northumberland, but I have to say yesterday I felt a bit disappointed that we didn't really give them the space that they wanted, or indeed the property near the sea. So for the mystery house, we are getting closer to Chris's beloved coast, and we're also giving them a bigger footprint and some period detail. The thing is, they're going to have to knock down some walls and maybe even build some. Our final property stop is in High Hawksley, a village right on the coast. The nearest place to pick up essentials is the harbour town of Amble, that lies at the mouth of the River Coquette. It has a small working fishing port on the heritage coast and lies in an area of outstanding natural beauty. So where better to stop off and set the scene for the mystery house. We managed to get you to the coast.
You have?
Yes.
A dramatic part as well.
I know, and I'm going to bow to your superior knowledge because you know this part of the world far better than me, but do you know Amble?
I've been to Amble. It's a few years.
And also, we were talking about Grace Darling. Her lighthouse is further down on the Farne Islands, but this was her brother's lighthouse.
Right.
And she apparently caught tuberculosis rowing out to see him.
Oh,
She died very young.
She did. She did. She died just 4 years after the famous rescue. But no, history aside, do you know this bit of the coast?
not as well as Chris does, no.
Well, this could be your beach,
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
because the house we found is only about 5 minutes away.
Fantastic.
Should we go and sit?
Would
Very
love
nice.
to.
The final property in High Hawksley is just a stone's throw away from this captivating coastline. So here she is. This is the mystery house.
Okay.
And this property dates back to the 1600s.
Fantastic.
So a bit of period, a bit of coast.
Yes.
It's attractive, yes. It's all very level. It, seems very easy to get access from the front here.
Indeed. And the location?
I can smell the sea air. I'm feeling quite refreshed already.
So you see it also has solar panels.
Yes.
And they bring in around £400 profit every year,
All right.
Very good.
as well as paying for your electricity. The mystery factor about this property is that we're giving you the period, we're giving you the location, but I think you're going to want to do some building work here.
Okay, that seems fine.
Luckily, there's planning permission to do that.
Even
Oh, well.
better.
Evenly.
Good, let's have a look inside. The Mystery House is a 17th century single-storey semi-detached bungalow that offers the largest ground floor footprint of all our houses. And we're starting in the dining room. So come into here, this is got a nice wooden floor, which I imagine is probably easier. And this is it's a dining room, but what I thought was quite nice of the property is that you've got a door, which obviously you'd want to adapt, so it's easy to get in. And it goes straight through out into the conservatory.
I think it's lovely, the way you come into it and the space. I think that's very nice indeed.
This is the sitting room. I think this is a good-sized room, actually. Lovely, original sort of inset fireplace.
Oh, it's a fantastic fireplace. I really like
Real
that.
character.
And I really like the deep windowsills as well.
What's the vibe you get?
I think this is really very pleasant.
It is.
The living room lies at the front of the property, with an aspect out to the front garden. And behind this room, a hallway leads to the kitchen that runs across the back of the property. But on this side of the house, access does get a bit more tricky. So that is a very tight corner for you. And this is what we were flagging up, that actually the back of the house from now on, I think is going to need some remodelling.
All right.
And this brings us into the kitchen. And again, I imagine that you might want to move this so that you had a bit more sort of space to flow around. What do you think of the kitchen? It's different from the other ones we've shown you.
It's very different, but I really like this. I think it's a nice, cosy feel, friendly feel to it. I think there's plenty of workspace around, certainly. I like it a lot.
Country style.
And then we've also through here you've got a big utility room with your big American fridge, washing machine. But I mean, it might be a possibility with these and the conservatory doors, just take them out, and that way you'd have a sort of quite a large L-shaped kitchen.
Well, that would make it possible to have a nice kitchen diner type area, wouldn't it?
Also, yeah, because then you get some of the garden light. But this is not the main work. There's actually an even bigger project that I'm about to introduce to you,
Okay.
which involves building an extension.
Right.
Back off the hallway, all the bedrooms are to the far side of the property. Two of these have outlooks to the front, one a well-appointed single room, and the other the largest of the bedrooms. This is the master bedroom as it stands. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I think with different furniture in here, there'd be enough space for you to be able to get in and out to the bed, wouldn't
Yes,
there?
it has some large furniture.
I mean, this is a huge fitted wardrobe, which I know you probably want to keep because it's useful. But these sort of dresser units are, yes, they're pretty obstructive.
The window sill and seat is very pleasant.
That's lovely. I really like that.
This would probably end up being the guest room,
Okay.
because at the end of the hall there is a bathroom and a smaller guest room, but permission to knock out almost double the size of it at the back and build an extension.
Okay.
So you could build a great big master bedroom and wet room and have that end as your sort of sleeping quarters and have this as the guest room.
That would be excellent. Now, that would work well, wouldn't it?
Certainly got potential.
Potential is the buzzword here, but it would be easier to envisage the extension area in question from outside. At the back of the property there's access to a driveway for off-street parking and the rear garden that features a decked terrace, a paved patio and raised borders. And this is the area I was talking about. You see behind the shed there's the sort of courtyard space from the old extension to the old building behind. That's all got planning permission for an extension out.
Okay.
That's why I think even with your advanced DIY skills that you'd probably want to get some builders in.
I think it's definitely builders.
He might help, but...
I'm not very good at getting on roofs any longer.
Yeah, well, it's a flat roof.
It is.
I think the front part of the house works really, really well. I think all that we need to really consider is the ways and means and costs of making the second half of the house work for us.
Well, you did mention the cost word.
Yes.
Which is the final piece of the jigsaw. How much do you think it costs?
I'd like it to be on for about 290,000.
Chris?
I think it'll be on the market for about 285,000.
Well, if you split the difference, it's much closer to your guess. It's on just £50 short of 290 at 289,950.
Right, well, that gives us some really serious food for thought, because I think that does make things possible and workable.
So why don't you go in and have a look, and I will meet you around the front.
OK, thank you.
So here's if you can wiggle through. Well, I think the mystery house was pretty much a good success there. The other houses really struggled, I think, to give them the space. This one has a lot of potential. We love potential. Another one below budget for offers in the region of £289,950. The mystery option is a 17th century semi-detached bungalow. It currently offers 2 large reception rooms, a conservatory, 3 bedrooms, as well as planning permission to extend.
I really like so many aspects of the mystery house. You've given us something with lots of character, in a very pleasant, quiet location. Looks like a nice little village. Entrance and dining room and living room could be made totally accessible, at a minimal additional cost.
I really like the look and feel of the mystery house. I think it's very, very nice having something with a bit of age and character to it. The master bedroom in the mystery property as it is now is probably one of the best that we've seen. Certainly looking at that, there's enough space for Chris to be able to move around. I love the deep window seat, windowsill, and the fact that it catches the early morning sun. So I think that's really, really nice.
So that was a good mystery house. If you guys go and get the chariot ready, I'll come and join you in a second.
Will do.
Thank you.
So, of course, Chris and Mary have been looking at a particular price bracket here in Northumberland, but this county has lots of properties for every kind of pocket. Take a look. This detached 3-bed stone cottage in Morpeth is currently on the market for £295,000. It comes with a large kitchen breakfast room that opens out onto nearly 8 acres of grounds. Morpeth is also the location of this impressive 4-bedroom luxury barn conversion that has a guide price just shy of £440,000. It boasts a stylish kitchen diner and a striking contemporary master ensuite. Lastly, the asking price for this 3-bedroom handsome home in Eglingham is £600,000, and for that figure you get a modern kitchen breakfast room, an elegant reception ideal for dinner parties, and a drawing room with countryside views down the valley. When most people hear bagpipes, it's the Scottish Highlands that immediately spring to mind. But there's a long tradition of pipe playing associated with the northeast of England, and this region even has its very own bellows-blown pipe, called the small pipes. I've come to Alnwick, the native heartland of this lesser-known instrument, to face the music in a local pub with Northumbrian small pipes expert Susan Clark.
So, Susan, you're going to initiate me into the mysteries of the Northumbrian small pipes.
Yes, do they look mysterious?
They do,
Oh, yes.
and small.
Yes, they are, yes.
It's probably heresy to mention this word here, but how are they different from the Scottish bagpipes?
They're an indoor instrument for a start.
Ah.
Yes, they're not meant to be played outside. If you were to play them outside, the sound just blows away, so...
So they're a bit more petite.
Yes. One of the other differences is that they're bellows blown,
Right.
so you don't actually have to blow.
So can you talk me through how it works?
You have to operate the bellows. You can feel the air coming. Yep. One of the very big differences between these pipes and any other pipes anywhere in the world, really, is the fact that these are stopped off at the end. And I'm covering the holes with my fingers.
So it's blowing up
It's
like a balloon.
completely sealed. The air can't escape from anywhere. So how do you think that the sound comes out now?
So when you lift a finger?
You have to lift your fingers.
Go on then. Oh, I see. So as soon as you put your finger back down, the noise stops.
Yes.
Now I've seen how it's done, I'm going to have a try. First, the instrument is strapped around my waist. Then the blowpipe is plugged in. And to create a sound, the real skill is to make sure my fingers completely cover all of the holes.
Very gently, you've got to lift your right arm and get the air into the bag. Can you feel your left arm going?
Right, ready?
Go. One. Yeah. Next one. Was that Baba Black Sheep? Have you any wool?
I'm awesome. I rock at this.
Documented records of the Northumbrian small pipes suggest it was played as early as the 17th century, and the most famous and notorious local player was probably the gypsy piper Jimmy Allen. A petty criminal on the run for most of his life, he was also a master musician whose talent was recognised by the aristocracy when he was employed by the Countess of Northumberland in the mid-1700s. Susan's main instrument is actually the fiddle, and she's a member of the 70-strong Alnwick Piper Society, whose roots go back to the 1940s.
How many actually are piping? Hold up a pipe. Oh, there's lots. What are you going to play for us?
We're going to play Proudlock's hornpipe.
Fantastic. So, well, take it away.
Unlike the distinctive constant note of a bagpipe, the effect of covering all the holes on the reed means that the melody produced by the small pipes can be stopped and started. And it's this staccato tone that gives traditional Northumbrian music its unique sound. Pipe music was once the main source of entertainment for local Northumbrian people, and centuries later, this dedicated and talented group of musicians are keeping the glorious tradition of this region alive for our enjoyment today.
Time to find out which of these three houses might be contenders for Chris and Mary. My money's on the mystery house, but I'm often wrong. Let's find out. Well, this has been quite a week here in Northumberland. Very illuminating on all sorts of fronts. I might be getting ahead of myself, but I get the impression that the first two houses are not really in the running anymore.
Not really, are they?
No. I mean, I think the first house before was a very nice house, decor really to a good standard, and nice sized rooms, but just not quite in the right configuration to what we would require.
No.
What did you like about the mystery house? Is that still a possibility?
I think it was a property with some age and some real character about it, which we liked. I think we liked being close to the sea. And I think it had a lot of what we would look for in a property.
But obviously it involves quite a lot of work. Are you not getting the heebie-jeebies about that?
I don't think the amount of work involved particularly worries us.
No, I mean, I think I've certainly been in houses where we've undertook as much, if not more, work. So actually employing a builder to do it, you know, wouldn't be a problem.
Do you think you might proceed on it or visit it again?
I think we'd like to see the details, the floor plans, just to see what you could reconfigure for rooms to look like.
I think we'd probably want to look at some other properties. Wouldn't want to rule it out, because I do think there is a lot of potential there, but I think it's also see what else the area has to offer.
We can combine a few days of house hunting and a few days of holiday, which coming to Northumberland's never a problem for us.
Excellent. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Chris and Mary were terribly diplomatic and polite, but I can't help but feel a little disappointed that we weren't able to give them exactly what they wanted in their budget and with all the specifications that they needed. Nonetheless, the market is what the market is, even here in a lovely property market like Northumberland's, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Still, I hope that that won't put you off joining us next time for more Escape to the Country. Chris and Mary decided to re-evaluate their move and are now exploring their options in County Durham instead. If you would like to escape to the country in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, or even further afield to the continent and need our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/be-on-a-show. This grand memorial is to a humble girl whose act of extreme bravery made her the nautical heroine of the Victorian era. Find out who she is and where she hails from in just a moment. Today we're meeting a couple seeking a home in an historic English county for some rural respite in their retirement.
Fantastic. I really, really like it.
But one bedroom makes them come over a little French.
One of Mary's favourite words is bijou.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit bijou.
It's a little trove bijou. Today we're in Northumberland and this is Bamborough Churchyard, the final resting place of Grace Darling, the young daughter of a local lighthouse keeper who, on a stormy night in 1838, saw that a ship was running aground and with her father rowed out and rescued 5 survivors, brought them back to the safety of the lighthouse and then rowed out again to rescue another 4. She became an instant celebrity and was inundated with offers of marriage, but she chose, however, not to leave her home county. And when you look around Northumberland, you'll understand why. It's good news on the property price front here in Northumberland, because the average price of a detached house here is £219,000, which is £32,000 less than the national figure. That said, as always, there's shading in the price map. So if you come to lovely coastal towns like this one, Bamborough or Alnmouth, then you're going to be paying about 25% above that county figure. That said, if you go to the north to Berwick-upon-Tweed, which is also a lovely town, or west over to the Cumbrian border, then you get a lot more for your money. So which of this cornucopia of options is going to tickle the fancy of our buyers today? Let's find out. And our home-buying hopefuls are retired civil servants Chris and his wife Mary, who met one another 5 years ago after a chance meeting in cyberspace.
Well, we met on the internet.
We met up at a local pub.
Yes.
And we got on really well.
It went from there.
It went from there.
They both live in Chris's customised bungalow in Bingley, West Yorkshire, but feel cramped in the house and hemmed in by their urban surroundings.
The area's quite built up and the population is pretty much a commuter population working either in Bradford or Leeds.
I mean, I think we've both lived in the countryside, in smaller villages, and I think we feel that, you know, we like that open space, we like nature, and I think we do just enjoy becoming involved in a small, you know, community.
Since retirement, the plan is to create a new life together, where they can enjoy the very best of the Northumberland coast and countryside.
It's wild, it's rugged, it's got all of the things which I think we really enjoy. It's also really special for me because it's where a lot of my ancestors come from.
The northeast as well was famous for its quilt making, and I just want to be able to bring that tradition and use that tradition in the home where I'm going to live.
Mary is a creative at heart and is in desperate need of a room for her favourite pastime.
I have quilting as a hobby, which I really enjoy, and I've been doing it now for about 8 years, I suppose. So I would like to be able to have somewhere that allows me to be able to keep all of my work out all of the time, and where I haven't got to constantly pack it up and put it away when we have visitors.
Chris's passion for buying and selling antiques gets him out and about scouring shops and markets for valuable gems. But back at home, room to manoeuvre is the key element to this house move.
For obvious reasons, stairs aren't particularly good for me, and therefore what we really need is to find something